The Old House. There was once an old house near a river. It had dull grey doors, dull grey windows, dull grey curtains, and dull grey walls. Mr. and Mrs. Bhura had lived in this house for more than 50 years. One day, Mr. Bhura and his wife went to visit a friend. The friend's house had red walls and bright yellow doors. The windows had curtains with a pattern of pink and blue checks. There was a small garden with green grass and colorful flowers. When Mr. and Mrs. Bhura came back home, they said to each other,
"Our house is very dull.
Let's sell this house and buy a pretty one."
Next day, Mr. Bhura put up a board in front of the house. The board said, "For sale." First, Mr. Lalu came to look at the house. "No, this house is too grey for me. I would like to live in a red house." And Mr. Lalu went away.
Let's paint this house red. Maybe someone will buy it then.
So Mr. Bhura and Mrs. Bhura painted their house a bright cherry red. Soon, Miss Pilu came to look at the house.
I like a house with yellow doors and windows and pretty curtains.
Miss Pilu too went away.
Let's paint the doors and windows a bright sunny yellow.
I will hang new curtains with a pattern of orange and purple checks.
Then Mr. and Mrs. Khushi came to see the house. "We like the outside,
But it is so dark and grey inside."
Mr. and Mrs. Khushi went away. So, Mr. Bhura and Mrs. Bhura painted the walls inside the house also. They painted some walls blue and some pink. After some time, Mr. Phulji came to see the house. "This is a pretty house, but I'm looking for a house with a garden." And he too went away, shaking his head. Mr. Bhura and his wife began to work on a garden. And very soon, thick green grass grew all around. And one day, there were flowers blooming, red and orange and pink and white.
Now someone will surely buy this house. Then at last we can buy the house we want.
What kind of a house do we want?
We want a pretty house.
Shall it be painted inside and out?
Oh yes,
With a little garden around it?
yes, yes.
Mrs. Bhura laughed merrily.
Look around you.
So he looked around.
Hey, this is a pretty house, isn't it? Just what we want.
So, Mr. Bhura and Mrs. Bhura went on living in their own house near the river.